BRIDGE, Building Research and Innovation Deals for the Green Economy, is the acronym. The point of these short films is to explain a very complex piece of research and a research community. BRIDGE began on the back of another Interreg project. Interreg is inter-regional, it's European funds, and the system is to engage the UK and other European countries together in research as a learning community for knowledge transfer. So in fact, we were invited into BRIDGE following a long and very successful project on flax, which was led by Professor Sergei Mikhailovsky from PABS, which is the School of Pharmacy and Biomolecular Sciences. Professor Mikhailovsky was visionary in as much as he wished to engage the arts community and sciences together. So the faculty and the school were invited by sciences to join them in a complex project, flax, which was looking at a historic material and trying to locate it in the past, the present and the future. On the back of the Flax project, we were then invited to join a community of French colleagues and UK colleagues in the project BRIDGE, which was led by Myriad. So the partners there in the BRIDGE project are a complex group. The whole point of BRIDGE was to develop green entrepreneurs. So the idea that this project would inform Horizon 2020, which is the new FP7 framework, moving towards SMEs, local jobs, a new type of employee with a portfolio of skills outside of the normal employment training, was the point of the collaboration. So if we think about the complexity of the partner group, unlike classic research groups, which are often 2 or 3 types of disciplines, very focused with a very clear thesis and question, this was much more an exploratory engagement and networking tool. So our partners, the lead partner, Myriad, is Normandy Incubation. They are a government organisation, and their remit is business and jobs development, jobs creation for the Normandy region. The second important partner is SITPA in Rouen, is an engineering and agricultural university with students going up to master's level. The third partner, ESITC Caen, is again science, engineering and construction, with their emphasis on building. Another partner was Own Development. They are again local government funded, and their remit is incubation. So incubation strategies for students, PhD qualified students going into the jobs market, and how to support them with their entrepreneurial vision. In the UK, partners were Remade, Medway Council, WSX Enterprises Limited, and of course the University of Brighton. So the University of Brighton, we led the UK side of the project, and we engaged across the university from science to engineering and technology with arts, and as the projects developed, tried to engage as many students and staff at all levels in the project. What we've produced is a very horizontal community of learners where we've learned from each other, and there's little or no hierarchy. However, the impact of this project isn't really apparent, because it's a long-term view, a long vision. When our students are leaving now, we don't know where they'll end up or what they will take from this experience being part of this very unusual and innovative group of partners funded by the European Union. So, if you think about the idea or the concept of a green entrepreneur, green means a lot of things to a lot of people, and we can discuss that a little further on in this film. With regards to the students at the University of Brighton and also the French students, their understanding of green has had to have been developed, and also their understanding of entrepreneurs has been developed. Part of the platform for this learning curve has been the establishment of a bridge club, which has more than 120 students signed to it. It happens once a fortnight outside of the curriculum day, and there groups of students get together. Every session has a theme. It may be that they share their own research methods. We may have speakers who provoke an issue and a debate ensues, or we have master's students working with undergraduates or PhD students working with undergraduates in a sharing knowledge transfer safe space. What's interesting about this upskilling and knowledge transfer is that the idea of transdisciplinary engagement has become embedded in the student community. So we have science students involved and engineering students involved and staff from across the faculty and across the university who've engaged in this idea of green entrepreneurialism. The commitment from the students has been breathtaking. They're not marked or scored in any way. The work isn't part of a module, and yet they constantly come with brilliant ideas and quite incredible innovations for those of us who've been in the business quite a long time. One of our actually, I was going to talk about the flax. You know the lad, what's his name? James and Elia.
James and Elia. Yeah.
But then maybe I won't specify those. Now, I won't talk individually about students' work because I think that's probably not right.
More detail then.
Yeah.
Could you just explain the term transdisciplinarity a wee bit more? Just break it down a bit.
The latest zeitgeist, if you like, in research and learning terms is the phrase transdisciplinary engagement. So transdisciplinarity was first spoken about in public in France by the philosopher Joan Farrer in the 1970s. He talked about the concept of transdisciplinarity, which was to create a safe place of different disciplines to come together to discuss an issue or a concept, and focusing on the concept or the issue, the transdisciplinarity developed from the disciplines which were all focused on the one issue. At the time, audiences weren't ready for this concept, and since then we've talked about interdisciplinarity or disciplinarity. But now I think we're ready for a new type of engagement. So if you look at Bridge, the focus of Bridge was on materials. The two material streams we chose were wood and textiles. Using those two arenas, we were able to discuss issues from different disciplines, how science would work with those particular materials, what the problems were, what the environmental issues were, manufacturing issues. So the idea of the word or the words pull together a group of different disciplines. I will say that you need a particular type of group of thinkers, which are maybe more entrepreneurial academics, a little bit more fleet of foot, possibly not as entrenched or deeply embedded in their own discipline. So to find that community of learners can be quite a challenge. So the idea of transdisciplinarity, I've tried to explain it as being a safe space for groups of different types of thinkers to come together around a concept and share their own knowledge, their own thinking or experience, but using the word or using the concept or the issue as a hinge to work together. So transdisciplinarity is a zeitgeist phrase at the moment, and by zeitgeist we mean there that it's a fashionable idea of the times. So a zeitgeist idea is something that comes from many different places and comes together, and communities or individuals on lots of different levels start to engage with the idea and understand the concept that's linked to the word zeitgeist. Sustainability is a really interesting concept. In the 1990s it was rarely used. It began to be used in the early 2000s. However, it was first ever talked about in the 16th century. And it was Thomas More, in fact, whose paper talked about utopia. So this safe island where everyone was fed, everyone worked. It was a safe place. It was a sustainable environment. So since 1500, we've been trying to understand the word sustainability. The icon for me is Brundtland, who described sustainability in the 1980s as a milking stool model with 3 legs. So the 3 legs of the stool, 1 leg is people, 1 leg is profit, and 1 leg is planet. And together those 3 pillars hold up the seat of the stool, which is sustainability. In the time I've been looking at this concept, the different pillars have moved in importance, and most recently we've been engaged with environmental issues. Of course, climate change is a result of that, and in a way environmental issues are easily quantified, as are economic issues, where the new area or new territory of sustainable thinking and sustainable discussion is in the people pillar. So the Bridge project is underpinned by green, and green was chosen because the French don't have a direct translation for the word sustainability. And in fact, the project has been built around student and staff exchanges, and our students have gone to France and explained their thinking through the Bridge Club around their understanding of the sustainable agenda, so people, profit, planet. And they've gone into these French universities and engaged in debate, and we understand that the French communities, their French peers, have been transformed by the University of Brighton students going there, talking about their work, talking about their vision for the future. So, for instance, the Agricultural College has benefited greatly from the level of energy and intelligence that our students have brought to their students. But similarly, sustainability is still not clearly understood, even by people who are working in the field. My issue with the word is that it's been it's been hijacked by corporate bodies. Even huge oil companies have a sustainable manifesto. So for me, the word or the concept is probably less important now, because it's not clearly understood what is meant by sustainability. With our students in the Bridge project, we've used materials to discuss the idea of sustainability, so life cycle analysis, the way products are made or disposed of, the concepts around make local, supply local, dispose of local, as opposed to a global supply chain. And in those discussions we've covered a lot of controversial territory and been provocative with students to hear their own thinking behind a very difficult concept, which is absolutely important and integral to their future survival. From the Bridge project, as I mentioned before, we've had so many different outputs, and the impact of these aren't immediately obvious. They need analysed, they need teams of thinkers, teachers, students coming together to look at the hundreds of images we've collected, the different dialogues we've had at our workshops, our field trips out into the forest, at spinning mills. So the amount of recording and data we have is incredible and not yet analysed properly. But one of the emerging strengths of the project has been the notion of teaching outside of the curriculum. Using live research, capital R research, funded research, which is Bridge, we've managed to teach very swiftly and at a very high level undergraduate students outside of their normal curriculum activities. This concept, amongst many other terms, is called flipping the classroom, whereby students learn from each other, they learn off-site, they learn in a very cheap or I can't say cheap.
Affordable.
Oh, thank you, yeah. They learn in a very affordable way. They engage with the issues and the project in a voluntary way, even though they know that they don't have marks or scores or module results. So our discussions in the Bridge project has been around the analysis of what our student body is learning. But not only the students, because Bridge is a match-funded project, this is a perfect vehicle to engage teachers and lecturers and professors in the work. And by doing that, we're upskilling colleagues very swiftly in a very non-academic environment, where through conversation and best practice and case study work, we can bring our colleagues and our students very quickly to an understanding of what research and research objectives could be in a post-92 university such as the University of Brighton.
What's the significance in 92?
Well, we're all polytechnics trying to be universities, aren't we, fuck? I mean, this is the problem, that we're not Russell Group, elitist, ancient universities.
Can you say that then? Because I know that, but I didn't put those two things together. That in 92, when colleges were made universities.
Okay, there was a tremendous opportunity for this new type of university to put its mark on education.
Yeah, just start a sentence with when polytechnics were made into universities in 92 ... and just
Okay.
add a couple of sentences to it.
Okay. So the idea in the UK of the post-92 universities, that was a tipping point in educational terms where traditionally polytechnics, who were built on skills, apprentice training, craft, became universities. The post-92 universities, in my opinion, have a unique opportunity to create a new type of worker, to create a student with a portfolio of skills. The post-92 universities have a lot of members of staff who were teaching in the old system, who've now joined a university system, and they bring with them a unique set of skills to add to an educational toolbox that our colleagues in Russell Group and more traditional historic universities can never capture. So my thinking is, and it's very visible in the Bridge project, that we are nimble, our colleagues are nimble, our students are nimble, we're fleet of foot, we're able to engage in difficult territories and be open to discussion. So for me, that is the future of an institution like mine in relation to the type of research I would like to develop and see our students engage with the ultimate goal of jobs, absolutely, but also that there may be some incredible researchers in there who will choose a research career for themselves and may end up in multinationals, they may end up in other universities, they may be Nobel Prize winners working in a new terrain which is outside of the classical university research culture. Part of the remit of the Bridge project was to communicate research to the non-expert audience. Our thinking is that in these straitened times where the taxpayer is funding more and more education, and also our students now are having to pay significant fees, how can we communicate the work that we're doing within the university with the local people or with a national dialogue? The Bridge project from the outset was underpinned by a series of these types of events which explained the research to the outside world, rather than keeping the research within the silo of the academy. So the Bridge Club events have been a significant part of that, but that of course is explaining to our own student body. Field work, field trips where we've actually exhibited work at local fairs has been an important element of what we do. Exchanges between ourselves and France with visuals, short films, promotional material has also explained what we do. Our lead partners, Myriad, have made documentaries and they are now part of the social networks. We also have a huge mapping website which engages people who make with people who grow, people who sell, people who dispose of materials across the channel. For us at the University of Brighton and the Faculty of Arts, having incredible facilities such as workshops and also gallery space and conference facilities, it seemed a logical progression to think that we would hold a conference at the university art faculty and run alongside an exhibition. So the exhibition happened before Christmas, and we understood that to communicate complex theories and complex research around the materials agenda would have to be a series of artifacts. So to use an artifact that was easily understood by an everyday person, and then to have with it details of where the research lay. Over the 2-week period of the exhibition, we had over 1,500 people going through, and in the conference itself, which showcased science and arts practitioners, we had an English and French session on young entrepreneurs and a whole variety of interventions over 2 days. More than 300 people engaged with that event. Again, where we are now is still analysing what actually happened there. And anecdotally, looking through the window at 9 o'clock one evening from the street at the exhibition, a couple were standing discussing a piece of work which was a table made from the minimum amount of ash, and yet was incredibly strong, which had been strain tested for the construction and the amount of wood contained in the table. So I was standing listening to their conversation, and the man said that he'd passed that window 1,000 times and he'd never stopped to look in at any exhibition. His girlfriend also said the same. So I asked them what was unusual about this, and I explained about the exhibition and that it was about materials and it was about green entrepreneurs. And they both said that they weren't involved in the arts, yet one was a cabinet maker and the girl was a beautician, so I questioned that. But it was the appeal of the artifacts through the window in the middle of the night and the variety of artifacts shown in that exhibition that captured their attention, and they knew instantly what we were trying to communicate, that this was about endangered landscapes, it was about innovative materials, about real world solutions, using less, disposing of sensibly, understanding carbon footprint. So very complex notions around the issues of sustainability were explained in incredibly simple and immediate ways, using the idea of an installation or a gallery format. I think part of our skill set as creatives is visualizing research, in that science, engineering, technology are very specialist areas, except of course if you look at the medical sciences, where we all benefit and we see the benefits of those inventions. So part of the problem now is with big funding streams, there's a question about how much of that work is for public engagement. How much of people's taxes going to fund classic research is actually understood or seen as benefiting society. So recently the arts faculty were invited to join a European funded project called Biomarine, which essentially was about using the ocean to create beneficial products for healthcare. It's very complex science, and the arts faculty was invited to join the principal investigator there in an event at the Sea Life Centre that explained some of the complexities of their science. So arts, graphics, design joined with biomolecular sciences to create an event that was easily understood by people who could engage from the street without having a real understanding of the disciplines. So we think in arts that is one of our unique skill sets, and something that we would like to develop, and something which has been showcased in Bridge. The development of green entrepreneurs from our point of view at the University of Brighton and in the arts faculty was an important concept behind the research. When we looked at the types of work we produce in the arts faculty and the workshops we have and the skill sets we have from our members of staff and technical colleagues, we realised that the pragmatic materials to investigate or to underpin this project was wood and textiles. Wood was interesting to us because of the virus that's affecting the ash plantations across Europe. We estimate that there'll be a significant amount of wood ash waste in the near future because of this virus, and trees must be felled to deal with the infection. So our students immediately understood the background to that. There was a reason for engaging with that as a material, and we were able to work with a forester who's part of our team, the interdisciplinary team, who supplied raw materials to the student body to actually investigate its unique potential, ash. The second material stream was textiles. And textiles and fashion, of course, are everything we understand as a normal consumer. The issue around textiles is the majority of textile waste is transported to the developing world and dumped as green waste. So if we look at the life cycle of a textile and its global journey, then to understand that clothing is perhaps worn once and then thrown away and then ends up in the Amazon forest, the students immediately understand the significance of that and understand the idea of material waste. So using wood and textiles were very easily part of the toolbox to engage complex thinking around the concept of those two materials, to engage with and inform our students and staff around the project. The importance of funded research in the university can't be overestimated. Out of the many amazing funding streams we have access to across the university, funds that can engage a community of learners, to me, are probably the most important funding streams. When I talk about a community of learners, I mean our students, of course, staff, technical staff and professors. A funded opportunity enables us to develop, in the case of Bridge, more than 20 new learners, to give them a live CV opportunity and to hopefully open other streams to them for future engagement and creating a jobs portfolio. There's very few funding streams that do that because we, of course, have to support our PhDs and postdocs, our research fellows. But I think a post-92 university has the opportunity to be nimble and apply for a wide range of funding. Therefore, I would like to suggest that managers engage with these opportunities, which are risky and often outside of our normal experience. And I understand caution and I understand budgets, but I think that the future student will be looking for experience, work experience, inside and outside of the university, but they'll also be looking for a future vision where their education will lead them and what is the skills toolbox we're providing them with. So the post-92 university is absolutely poised for that. Apart from innovative teaching methods that opportunities like this give us, we're also producing a new type of thinker equipped for a European and global context. The global context is important for the future of the University of Brighton. Because of student fees, pressures, competition, jobs culture, surely we should be looking outside of the UK for students from different parts of the world to engage with us here and to broaden our own student vision. The global context, I think, is where our university can seek new types of engagement, new types of thinking. I would hope that funding streams such as Interreg, Horizon 2020, which are European rather than national institutions for funding, engagement with those types of funders will broaden our expertise base and prepare us for a future in education which is not local and not national, but is international and truly global. The Bridge project structure means that 50% of the Interreg pot is match funding. So there's a nil cost to the university if we can engage our teaching staff with the project. As I mentioned before, there's many benefits to doing that, particularly a very fast upskilling journey that staff who maybe haven't been involved in formal research because of their teaching commitments or their commercial activities can understand the aims and objectives of funded research, that there's scholarly outputs, there's academic outputs, there's practice, of course, in new materials and new products. So together, a project like this has engaged a community of learners with different skill sets, from accountancy through to machine shop skills, design, craft, agriculture, engineering, architecture, to name but a few. So together as a community of learners, Bridge has created this area for people to engage with, people who are employed by the university, who are giving their time, their research time to the project, and they then are cascading their enthusiasm and their knowledge into their teaching. So together we're in a win-win situation. And that, I think, underpins the whole concept of Bridge, building research and innovation deals for the green economy, where the future is our students, our future is enterprise, and our future is preparing young people for a long career where they can earn a living and survive. The success of the Bridge project has been on the back of the success of Flax. We learned from Flax how to work with transdisciplinary groups, from agriculturalists, textile makers, laboratories, the medical sector, and we brought a lot of those skills and communication skills into the Bridge project and developed Bridge in tandem and complementary to Flax, but still with materials and design at the core of the projects. The success of both Flax and Bridge has meant that we've been invited to develop Bridge 2, which will have a different name, a different remit, but essentially to grow the knowledge that we've developed with those two Interreg projects. For me and colleagues, we see Interreg being a vital part of a funding stream for a university like ours, which will run alongside and complementary to classic funding streams of RC UK, Horizon 2020 and other prominent bodies who have a vision for research and research in the arts and transdisciplinary engagement for the future. Importantly, to inform our university communities, not just students but also our colleagues, members of staff that we share this amazing world with.